Hi, everyone. How are you? So, our Wednesday words today are Thursday words, but I have a good reason for it. And it has to do with today's topic, which is queries and proposals. So, for those who may not know, queries and proposals are things that you send to publishers, generally big publishers, but sometimes smaller ones, in order to sell yourself and your book. And so the general idea is a query or a query letter is a short, generally 1 to 2 page um, thing which you send out and sorry, I'm like pulling things up here. Basically, you are selling yourself and your book, and so what you're doing is telling the publisher why they want you and why they want your book. And so the basic idea is to be as up as you can be. So I'll give you an example. This was my query letter. It started out, "Dear publisher, living in your van used to mean you were essentially homeless, but today people are choosing to live in vans, RVs, and mobile tiny homes. Many people are enjoying their ability to work over the internet and are embracing the opportunity to travel and work simultaneously. This has led to a massive growth in the van life community, a large and varied group who live on the road and travel around the country like modern-day Roma travelers. Something that all of these travelers have in common is the need to eat." And then I go on to explain what happened when I self-published the Reenactors Cookbook, and then I talk about the new cookbook and why it's of interest to people. And so when you submit one of these letters, and this one was, it's like about 1.25 pages. When you send them out, you log into your publisher webpage and it says, please send it to this address. They'll sometimes give you what format they want it in, and if so, you follow their format. And then you send it off to the place that they tell you. Some of them you have to really search because not all publishers accept unsolicited queries or unagented queries. So you have to look around. I found 6 different publishers that accepted unsolicited queries, and so I sent them off. Now, the general rule when you send these things off is, and it even will say on the website, don't expect to hear back from us for a year, or for not a year, a month. Responses will come within 4 to 6 weeks. You'll only hear from us if we're interested. If you hear nothing, that means, we're done. And so every place that I went and submitted to, and these were just the big ones, by the way. I decided to do the big ones now while I was still working on the cookbook. And then if nothing happens when I finish the cookbook in March, I would send it off to the smaller publishers that I've had nibbles from. Well, I sent it off to these 6 big name publishers. Like, when I say big, I mean like Simon & Schuster, Random House type big, but specifically for cookbooks. And they all said at least 30 to 60 days return time. So I knew that I had plenty of time to work on my proposal. And I mean, I had the basic proposal written, and I'll get to proposals in a minute, but it wasn't complete. And the book is not complete, of course, because I'm still working on it. It has about another month worth of work left to do on it. Well, on Monday at about, 3:06, I sent off a letter to all of these things, and they were all personal, by the way. I wrote up a basic query letter, but then I changed it depending on the publisher, what they were interested in, the type of cookbooks. You have to do research, okay? But it matched their company. 3:16, just some 10 minutes later, I got a response which I was not prepared for. um, I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to jinx it. Knock on wood, you know. But I was asked to provide a proposal because they were interested in my book. This was highly unexpected. Usually you're waiting minimum of 2 weeks, not 2 minutes. And so I had a complete breakdown and a little bit of a panic attack for a few minutes there. And then I sat down and started working on my proposal. And so that brings us to proposals. So a proposal is this long written document that goes over a variety of things that make your book worthwhile. Okay. So I should have opened all this stuff before I started the video, but I'm in a bit of a rush because yesterday I was working on my proposal, and so I was not entirely with it. So now understand that every single publisher has a slightly different way of doing their proposal. Most will give you an idea of what it is that they're looking for. So just follow their outline. But this was the outline that was provided to me. It was to do an overview. That overview was supposed to be about 2 to 3 pages long. So I wrote 3 pages of information. Then you have to do a synopsis. The synopsis is a 2 to 3 page description of what's in your book. It discusses what's in the various chapters and the information. Then you have to do market demand. And so the idea is to go on and find out what people are purchasing at any given moment. What is your target demographic? Well, mine is people within the van life community, but also people who live in all sorts of different small living situations, dorm living, camping, part-time RV living, etc., etc. So you go through all of that. You prove that there's a reason for the current trend, which was very easy for me because the van life trend is huge right now. I pointed out things like the documentaries and videos that are out there. I looked at percentages of people who are currently living in their vans, purposefully, by the way. And I talked about the Rubber Tramp Rendezvous and the other cons that are going on. Then you have to do a comparable title analysis. And let me tell you, that is terrifying. You have to go and find a bunch of books that are like yours and explain why yours is better. So you're both proving that there are other books out there that show it's worthwhile to publish yours, but also showing why your book is better than what's currently available. Again, I was very lucky and it was easy for me to do that. Then you have to go into a marketing plan. Marketing plan is how you market using social media. So I talked about how I talk about it on my YouTube, how I'm on Facebook, Instagram, MeWe, LinkedIn, that kind of stuff. And I also got to talk about how I did the marketing for the Reenactors Cookbook and how some things will be done very similar because I can do that. It also shows that I have experience in it. Then there's a chapter outline, and then you have to write about the author, and then you need sample chapters. So the end proposal for this has 36 pages, which I have jammed together. And I mean, like I said, a lot of this was already written. It was getting it together into a cohesive package to send off, and it's going out today. So that's why I wasn't on yesterday. I was very busy doing the proposal, which so quickly came up. Please understand, this is a good problem to have. I was very excited to learn that it was the president of the particular company that had reached out to me and told me that they were very interested in my van life cookbook. They were intrigued. And so I'm excited to get this off to them because I do think that the van life cookbook has the opportunity to be a bestseller. This is something that is current and timely, but will continue to be of interest to people going forward. So even though right now there's a van life explosion, there were van life people before, and there will be van life people after the current pandemic explosion that happened. So that will be an ongoing interest as well as a current burst of interest. And honestly, the way that I write is helpful to people who are new to cooking, and a lot of people who are out there doing van life right now are new to cooking. A surprising number. And those who aren't, maybe like me, new to cooking for one or two. One of the things that I discuss in there is that I'm used to cooking for 10 to 15 people, and cooking for 100 doesn't really sweat me. On the other hand, cooking for one or two, that's hard. Learning how to scale down the recipes and testing them has been fun and exciting, and also difficult because I don't think in small, I think in large. So, yeah, so that's where I'm at today, guys. And just so you know, let me see if I can share my screen here. Share my screen. I want to share a window, that one. All right. So, as you can see, next week on January 26th, which, by the way, folks, is my 51st birthday, okay? So you have to come and visit me online and say hi. But for my birthday, Smokey DeVan, Justin Hughes, is going to be joining me, and we're going to do a little bit of questions and answers about van life and why this cookbook is of importance and interest right now. We're going to talk about the Rubber Tramp Rendezvous and about some of the pros and cons to living in your vehicle. So I am really looking forward to seeing it. I do not have the time for that yet. Justin and I still have to figure that out. But please do join us right here on this channel next Wednesday so that we can get together and talk with Justin. And I will have the chat. I think the chat opens for me. I'm still getting used to StreamYard, so if the messages come through, I should be able to take comments, and with luck, I'll be able to post them up on the screen. In fact, I can probably do a test. This is a test. Okay. Aha. So there we go. Yeah, I will be able to put the statements and questions up on the screen like that so that people have a chance to discuss with Justin and myself. Depending on the number of viewers, we may not be able to take everybody, but we'll do as many as we can. All right, guys, I got to get out of here. I have actually have an online class to do as well as finishing up my proposal. So yeah. I will see you next week on Wednesday with Justin Hughes, who is Smokey DeVan. Bye, guys. Oh, and don't forget to like and subscribe.